Listen carefully, because what I'm about to reveal isn't something most men will ever admit, and most women will never tell you directly. Younger women, yes, women who seem innocent, playful, or even harmless, have a secret way of testing and seducing older men. And if you've ever wondered why certain interactions feel electric, why their attention seems calculated, or why you sometimes feel like you're being subtly drawn in without even realizing it, this video will expose exactly what's happening. You need to understand this: nothing they do is random. Every glance, every smile, every pause, every laugh, they are all signals. Tiny, subtle, almost invisible signals designed to measure your presence, your confidence, your energy. And here's the shocking truth: most older men completely miss it. They mistake it for charm, for flirtation, for coincidence. They don't see the hidden patterns, the psychological layers, the unspoken tests that are being run in real time. They react, they overthink, they give away power they didn't even know they had. But here's the difference between those who are manipulated and those who are magnetic: awareness. Once you recognize the signs, once you understand the psychology behind every subtle gesture, the entire dynamic changes. You are no longer being pulled. You are the one who commands the energy. You are no longer reacting. You are observing, interpreting, and influencing without ever having to force it. And that's why you need to stay until the end, because what I'm about to teach you will shift your entire perception of attraction, influence, and presence. You will see the hidden signals younger women send, understand how to respond without losing control, and discover the exact mindset that turns subtle seduction into admiration. Watch closely, because once you understand this, you will never look at these interactions the same way again. You need to understand this from the very beginning. There is nothing random about how younger women behave around older men. What you often dismiss as casual attention, playful teasing, or even coincidence is actually a subtle, deliberate form of communication. It's a kind of unspoken language, a playbook that has evolved over time, shaped by both psychology and instinct. And the shocking part is that most men never see it coming. They are completely blind to the signals, completely unaware that every laugh, every glance, every movement is carefully measured. When a younger woman is attracted to an older man, she doesn't announce it outright. She doesn't send a neon sign flashing, "I'm interested." Instead, she uses subtle cues that are easy to miss if you are not paying attention. She positions herself in your line of sight, but just enough that it feels natural. She lets her eyes linger on yours for a fraction longer than normal, not because she wants to intimidate you, but because she is quietly testing your reaction. Every gesture is a question, every smile a probe into how you respond under her presence. Most men see these actions as flattering or harmless. They think it's just charm. They mistake strategy for spontaneity. But here's the truth: there is nothing accidental here. She is observing you the way a scientist observes an experiment. She is measuring how confident you are, how grounded you are in your own energy, how you carry yourself in space. She is not just interested in your appearance or your wealth or your charm. She is evaluating your presence, your authority, your calmness under scrutiny. And the more you respond without awareness, whether it's by laughing too easily, overextending compliments, or trying to impress, she knows immediately. She knows she has your attention. She knows she can influence you. That is the nature of subtle seduction. It thrives on inattention, on the inability of a man to recognize his own power. At the same time, it's important to see why these cues are so effective. Younger women are naturally tuned to energy. They can sense the confidence in your posture, the steadiness in your voice, the assurance in your gaze. When they are near someone who embodies these traits, their attraction is almost instinctive, but the way they signal it is deliberate. They combine instinct with strategy. This is why it feels effortless to them. They are not overthinking it. But to the observer who doesn't understand, it can feel almost magical. inexplicable, or even manipulative. Recognizing this pattern changes everything. Once you see that these behaviors are intentional, you stop reacting unconsciously. You stop giving away power you didn't even realize you had. You begin to understand the rules of the game. And here is the paradox: the more you observe without reacting, the more control you gain. The more you remain grounded and self-aware, the more magnetic you become. What she thought was a subtle seduction tactic suddenly becomes a window for you to assert your own presence, to project your energy in a way that demands respect and admiration. Think of it as a mirror. Her subtle actions are reflecting your own strengths and weaknesses. If you are aware, calm, and confident, the mirror reflects power, authority, and stability. If you are reactive, insecure, or easily influenced, the mirror reflects vulnerability. This is why most older men never realize what is happening. They miss the mirror entirely. They fail to see how their own energy is being read, analyzed, and responded to in real time. And this is where the profound insight lies. Attraction is never just about surface-level traits. It is about presence. It is about awareness. It is about energy. Every glance, every movement, every tiny gesture is an opportunity to recognize your own power, to step into your own authority, to elevate your presence in ways most men never even imagine. So here is the truth I want you to hold on to. Nothing she does is random, but neither is your reaction predetermined. The moment you begin to understand the subtle playbook, the moment you start observing instead of reacting, you change the entire dynamic. You move from being a passive participant to the center of influence. You move from being observed to being the one who commands observation, and that is where true power, attraction, and respect begin. Never forget this. The game is subtle, but your awareness is decisive. When you see it clearly, you are no longer at the mercy of signals. You are in command. And that is the first step toward mastering every interaction, every connection, every moment that follows. Observation is the skill that separates those who are unaware from those who command presence. Most men, especially older men, walk through life blind to the subtle messages that are constantly being communicated around them. They think attraction is obvious. Flirting, compliments, overt gestures. But the truth is far more complex. Real influence, real seduction, unfolds in the spaces between words, in the pauses, in the moments that seem insignificant. This is where the game is won or lost. And this is where younger women, knowingly or unknowingly, become masters of subtlety. When a younger woman is near an older man, she is not simply engaging with him casually. Every glance, every tilt of her head, every shift in posture is a calculated observation on her part, and she expects the same level of attentiveness in return. The eyes that linger, the smile that curves but doesn't fully reveal intent, the way she mirrors your gestures, these are not random. They are tests. They are probes into your confidence, your self-control, and your ability to command presence without demanding attention. She is watching, always, and her reactions are feedback, telling her exactly how powerful, grounded, and self-aware you are. Most men fail at this because they lack the skill of observation. They see, but they do not notice. They hear, but they do not interpret. They respond without understanding the hidden signals. To observe is not merely to watch. It is to decode, to understand context, to recognize patterns in behavior that reveal intentions, desires, and boundaries. When you observe without judgment, without distraction, you gain clarity. You see who is attempting to influence you and why. You begin to recognize what is deliberate and what is incidental. And that is the difference between being influenced and remaining in command. Observation is also about awareness of energy. Younger women are instinctively attuned to energy. They can sense nervousness, hesitation, dominance, and confidence. They respond to it almost unconsciously, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. If you are nervous or insecure, they sense it and may subtly test the limits of your composure. If you are confident, grounded, and steady, their subtle gestures of seduction, eye contact, posture, tone, start to serve a different purpose. They no longer control the interaction. Instead, their actions highlight your presence, magnifying the qualities that make you magnetic. Understanding this shifts your perspective from reaction to analysis. Every subtle signal becomes a piece of information, a clue in a larger puzzle about human behavior, attraction, and influence. You start to notice patterns, the way someone's gaze moves when they are curious, the way their voice changes when they are intrigued, the moments they choose to linger close or maintain distance. Each detail, though small, carries meaning. Each moment is a reflection of your own energy and presence. The more attentive you are, the more empowered you become. Observation is not passive, it is active engagement with reality. It is seeing beyond the surface and understanding the layers beneath behavior. And when you practice it consistently, you gain an almost strategic advantage. You start to recognize when someone is testing your boundaries, when someone is seeking connection, and when someone is unconsciously drawn to the energy you project. This skill transforms your interactions because you are no longer blindly reacting to cues, you are responding with intentionality, with awareness, with authority. And here is the most important truth: the ability to observe is inseparable from the ability to control your reaction. Awareness without composure is useless. If you notice every subtle cue but react impulsively, you lose power. If you watch, understand, and respond with calm and confidence, you transform the interaction. You turn subtle seduction into a reflection of your own mastery. You step into a space where you are no longer the observer, nor the observed. You are the one who dictates the terms of engagement. So, pay attention to the small things. Watch not just what is said, but what is unspoken. Notice the fleeting expressions, the unconscious movements, the silent tests. Recognize that each of these details is an opportunity to understand both the person in front of you and yourself. The more you observe without reacting, the more your presence deepens. The more your awareness sharpens, the more control you gain over every interaction. Never forget this: true power is not just in action, it is in perception. The moment you master the art of observation, you transform every encounter into a space where you command energy, respect, and attention. And that is where attraction, influence, and true presence begin. You need to understand this fundamental truth: power and attraction are rarely about youth or appearance. They are about experience, presence, and the quiet authority that comes from knowing yourself. Older men, in ways younger men cannot fully comprehend, carry something incredibly magnetic. It is not about arrogance, nor is it about wealth or status. It is about the calm certainty that comes from having lived through challenges, from having navigated complexity, from having developed an inner strength that cannot be shaken by mere attention or flirtation. And this is exactly what younger women sense instinctively. When a younger woman is drawn to an older man, she is often responding to what psychologists would call the energy of mastery. This is the energy of someone who has learned to stand tall in the face of uncertainty, who has cultivated patience, who has learned the subtle balance between confidence and humility. She senses it, even if she cannot articulate it, because it resonates on a level far deeper than words. It's not something she can imitate, it is something she recognizes, something she is drawn to. This is why older men often find themselves the target of subtle seduction. They carry a presence that younger women instinctively want to engage with. But here is where most men fail to capitalize on this naturally occurring magnetism. Many older men do not understand that their calm, experienced energy is their greatest asset. They underestimate the power of what they already possess. Instead of standing firmly in their presence, they allow uncertainty, insecurity, or over-eagerness to dilute the energy that naturally attracts. They see attention as something to manage, rather than something to embody and project. They fail to realize that the more grounded they are in their own certainty, the more irresistible they become, not because they are chasing, but because they are complete in themselves. Experience, however, is more than just surviving years. It is the wisdom gained from navigating life's complexities, the clarity that comes from understanding human behavior, and the patience that comes from observing patterns rather than reacting impulsively. Younger women are drawn to these qualities because, on a subconscious level, they equate stability, certainty, and wisdom with security and potential for meaningful connection. She is testing not just your appearance, not just your charm, but your ability to remain steadfast, to maintain composure, to radiate presence without needing to prove it. This is why older men often exude a magnetic pull without even trying. They move differently, speak differently, carry themselves differently. And when a younger woman responds, when her eyes linger or her energy shifts subtly, it is not random, it is a recognition of something fundamental, something she is instinctively drawn to, experience embodied. But the key, the subtlety, the secret is this: awareness amplifies power. When you know that your calm certainty is what draws attention, when you recognize that your presence is magnetic, you stop giving it away through overreaction or insecurity. You begin to command interactions simply by existing fully in your own energy. Think of it as gravity. Presence, groundedness, experience, they pull attention naturally. You do not have to chase it. You do not have to manipulate it. The universe, in a way, conspires to recognize energy that is complete, energy that is unwavering, energy that carries authority without force. The moment you understand this, you stop competing with attention, stop trying to earn attraction, and instead embody the qualities that naturally create influence. Your presence becomes undeniable, your energy irresistible, and the subtle seduction around you becomes a reflection of your own mastery. And here is the ultimate lesson. Younger women are drawn not to what you show, but to who you are. The attraction is psychological, not superficial. It is about the depth of your experience, the steadiness of your energy, the quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by curiosity or testing. The more you cultivate this, the more your magnetism grows. The more you embody it, the more interactions shift in your favor, naturally, effortlessly, undeniably. Never forget this: your experience is not something to hide or underestimate. It is your greatest power, your natural authority, your advantage in every connection, every interaction, every encounter. Stand in it, embrace it, own it, and you will see the world, and the people in it, respond in ways you never imagined. Presence is power, experience is attraction, and when you combine them consciously, you become irresistible, not through effort, but simply by being fully yourself. Awareness changes everything. Once you truly see the subtle signs, the fleeting gestures, and the underlying energy in interactions, you realize that the game has been in front of you all along. But here is the critical part: awareness alone is not enough. Observing a younger woman's behavior, recognizing her subtle seduction, or understanding her instinctive attraction is only the first step. The real power comes when that awareness translates into control. Not control over her, but control over yourself, your reactions, and the dynamic of the interaction. Most men, even older men, misunderstand this. They believe attraction is about strategy, manipulation, or showing off. They think that noticing subtle cues means they must act on them immediately, respond with flattery, or prove themselves worthy. And this is exactly where they lose power. When you react without awareness, you are giving away authority. You are allowing the situation to dictate your energy rather than your energy dictating the situation. True awareness flips the equation. It allows you to observe without being manipulated, to interpret without being influenced, to respond without losing your presence. When you are aware, you begin to see patterns that most people never notice. You notice how she tests boundaries, not overtly, but through lingering glances, micro-expressions, shifts in posture. You notice how she mirrors your energy, subtly adjusting to your confidence or insecurity. Every detail becomes a signal, every interaction a reflection of your own presence. And here is the transformative insight. Once you recognize these patterns, you can maintain composure, project stability, and influence the interaction without saying a single word. Awareness becomes the quiet engine of authority. This is not about manipulation. It is about understanding human behavior and responding from a place of strength. The moment you recognize the psychology behind the signals, you stop being reactive. You stop giving attention to fleeting impulses. You stop allowing curiosity or desire to control your actions. Instead, you respond intentionally, calmly, and with presence. And that is when everything shifts. The subtle gestures that once seemed like control now become reflections of your own energy. The attraction that once felt fleeting becomes rooted in respect and admiration. There is a profound philosophical lesson here. Life, relationships, and attraction are rarely about what is said or done overtly. They are about perception, interpretation, and the mastery of self. Younger women, like all humans, are sensitive to energy. They feel it before they see it. They respond to calmness, confidence, and authority. When you are aware, you are able to project these qualities consistently. When you are reactive, insecure, or distracted, the subtle games they play gain power over you. Awareness is what allows you to reclaim that power, and this extends far beyond attraction. Awareness changes how you navigate every interaction in life. It allows you to understand motives, to see intentions, to anticipate outcomes. It turns observation into strategy without the need for effort, because the strategy is already embedded in the clarity of your perception. By simply noticing, understanding, and responding with composure, you shape every dynamic around you. You transform subtle signals into mirrors that reflect your own mastery back to the world. The paradox is simple but profound. The more you notice, the less you are controlled. The more you observe, the more freedom you gain. And the more freedom you have, the more magnetic, influential, and authoritative you become. Subtle seduction is not about winning or losing. It is about who holds presence, who commands energy, who navigates the interaction with awareness and intentionality. When you step into this space, everything changes. So the next time you encounter these subtle cues, these fleeting gestures, remember this: awareness is not passive. It is an active, decisive force. It allows you to see the hidden layers of behavior, to understand what is really happening beneath the surface, and to respond with the authority that comes from knowing yourself fully. Once you master awareness, you are no longer at the mercy of attraction. You are the one who defines it. Never forget this: awareness is power, and power is presence. The moment you truly see, understand, and remain grounded, you step into a space where you control not just the interaction, but the energy, the perception, and ultimately, the outcome. Awareness transforms subtle games into mirrors of your own mastery, and that is where real influence begins. Confidence transforms attraction in ways most men never truly understand. It is not about loud declarations, flashy gestures, or constant attention. Real confidence is subtle, quiet, and deeply rooted. It is a state of being that emanates from understanding yourself, your value, and the energy you carry. Younger women, like all humans, respond instinctively to this energy. They are drawn not to words, not to appearances, but to the presence of someone who is unwavering in their awareness, calm in their authority, and deliberate in their actions. This is why older men, when grounded in true confidence, often become magnetic without even trying. The shocking truth is that many men underestimate the power of simply being. They believe attraction must be manufactured, that it requires effort, persuasion, or strategy. They react, overcompensate, or seek validation. And in doing so, they give away the very magnetism they naturally possess. Confidence is not something you display to be seen, it is something you embody, and the world, including younger women, cannot help but notice. It is the energy of certainty that radiates without force, the calm authority that commands respect without demanding it. Understanding this is liberating. When you realize that attraction is a reflection of your own energy, you stop chasing it, stop trying to earn it, and start owning it. Every glance, every subtle interaction, every moment of presence becomes an opportunity to project your confidence rather than to seek hers. The more you operate from this place of grounded self-assurance, the more interactions transform. The subtle signals that once tested you now reflect admiration. The energy that once seemed like seduction now mirrors your own authority back at you. Confidence, in this sense, is not just attractive, it is transformative. But there is a deeper psychological principle at work. Confidence is contagious. When you project it consistently, it not only draws attention but shapes the behavior of those around you. A younger woman responding to your presence is not merely reacting to charm, she is unconsciously aligning with your energy. Her subtle gestures, the way she tests boundaries, the way she mirrors your composure, they all shift according to the confidence you hold. This is why confidence is not about manipulation or control. It is about energy management, awareness, and the deliberate cultivation of presence. It allows interactions to unfold on your terms without forcing or persuading. At the same time, true confidence is inseparable from authenticity. It is not about pretending to be someone you are not or projecting strength where none exists. It is about knowing your value, embracing your experience, and standing firmly in your own energy. Younger women are extraordinarily sensitive to authenticity. They can sense insecurity beneath bravado, false charm beneath effort. What they respond to is real, grounded presence, the quiet force of a man who understands himself, his desires, and his boundaries. Confidence, therefore, is both a shield and a beacon. It protects your energy from unnecessary manipulation while drawing admiration naturally. The practical implication is profound. Once you cultivate this state of confidence, every interaction becomes an opportunity to observe, respond, and influence without losing control. You no longer react impulsively to attention, subtle tests, or flirtation. Instead, you operate from a space of calm awareness, projecting energy that attracts naturally and sustains influence. The attraction is no longer fleeting or dependent on external validation. It is anchored in the energy you carry, in the presence you project, and in the subtle authority that comes from self-mastery. And here is the ultimate insight: confidence turns seduction into reflection. When a younger woman subtly tests, mirrors, or draws near, she is responding to you. Not because you pursued, not because you reacted, but because you embodied qualities that cannot be ignored. She reflects your composure, your groundedness, your clarity. She amplifies the energy you project, and when this happens, the dynamic shifts completely. You are no longer the subject of observation. You are the center of influence. You are no longer chasing attraction. You are naturally commanding it. Never forget, this confidence is the culmination of awareness, presence, and self-mastery. It is not flashy, it is not loud, and it is never desperate. It is quiet, powerful, and magnetic. The moment you embody it fully, you transform every interaction, every subtle signal, and every fleeting moment into a reflection of your own authority. Confidence does not just attract, it establishes influence, commands respect, and creates admiration that is undeniable. And that ultimately is the power every man must understand if he truly wishes to navigate attraction, presence, and human connection on his own terms.